twins in a billionaire's home cried for 72 hours until the maid unlocked an incredible secret. Mia and Max sat huddled in their expansive bedroom, surrounded by lavish toys and gleaming gadgets, yet feeling like prisoners in a gilded cage. For 3 days, tears streamed down their cheeks as they absorbed the crushing weight of parental neglect. Their father, a billionaire, dedicated every moment to his empire, leaving them to wrestle with feelings of abandonment. Isolation crept in, making the mansion, with its marble floors and fine art, feel more like a tomb than a home. Each day melded into the next, a blurry haze of sadness. Their laughter had long been stifled, replaced by the echo of hollow silence. "Does he even care?" Max whispered, his trembling voice betraying his emotions. Mia's heart ached as she buried her face in her hands, wishing their father's affection matched the size of their home. "Maybe he thinks we're just extensions of his success," she muttered, grappling with a sense of worthlessness. As they sat on the plush rug, feelings of desperation overwhelmed them. How could they break through the polished exterior that had come to define their lives? They had received endless accolades for grades and extracurriculars, but in every celebration, Mia sensed a glimpse of disappointment in their father's eyes. The weight of it felt unbearable. But from beyond their door, the house continued to breathe. A soft shuffle of Rosa, the housemaid, reminded them that life existed outside this barren emotional landscape. She had always been kind of comforting presence, but how could words from a maid fill the void their father left unaddressed? On the 4th day, the twins ventured outside their room, guided more by instinct than intent. Rosa stood at the bottom of the grand staircase, catching sight of their tear-streaked faces. Without a word, she beckoned them into the dim light of the kitchen. As they shared small stories over a cup of warm cocoa, her soothing voice began to unwrap the fabric of their father's past, stitching together the hidden threads of struggle and sacrifice. "Your father once lived in a tiny apartment, poor but happy," Rosa said, her eyes glistening with warmth. "He wanted to give you a life beyond his own." Mia and Max listened, their hearts rumbling with new questions. So much had been sacrificed for this loss of connection. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Then, the conversation turned. Rosa mentioned a name, a distant relative who had been searching for justice against a historical injustice that had torn their family apart. The revelation hit Mia like a thunderbolt, electrifying the air. The prospect of confronting their father about the truth catapulted them into turmoil. "What if he doesn't want us to know?" Max's voice wavered. Heat coursed through Mia's veins, a mixture of fear and determination stacked within her. They were teetering on the brink of a monumental decision that threatened to challenge everything they believed about loyalty and success. Would they dare to unearth the truth at the risk of shattering their already fragile existence? As they glanced at each other, the unspoken agreement strengthened their resolve, yet uncertainty loomed large. The fabric of their world was fraying, and they were caught in its grip, hearts racing under the knowledge that once unveiled, this secret could change everything. Mia's heart raced as she replayed Rosa's words in her mind, an electrifying mix of curiosity and fear. The weight of the revelation about their family's distant past pressed down on her, elevating the stakes in their already tumultuous lives. This was no longer just about feeling ignored, it was a deeper black hole of family secrets threatening to disrupt everything they thought they knew. "Rosa, can you tell us more about this relative?" Max asked, a quiet tremor in his voice. He was suddenly alert, the softness of his earlier despair giving way to a sharp interest, yet Mia could see the hints of panic behind his eyes. Rosa stared at them thoughtfully, weighing her words. "There are stories your father has not shared. It's not my place to speak about family matters without permission, but the truth, my dear children, is often a bitter pill to swallow." "Maybe that's what we need," Mia interjected, hope mixing with defiance in her chest. If there's a chance it could bring us closer, we have to know. The twins' resolve solidified into a plan to confront their father. Mia could feel the rising tide of emotion swirling around her. Understanding the complexities of their father's past wasn't merely about gaining knowledge, it felt like the first step toward altering their current reality. But deep down, that same hope brewed with hesitation. What if knowing the truth only pushed their father further away? Yet as the days passed, the need to act intensified. The mansion was vast and beautiful, a deceptive landscape that now felt like a maze filled with emotional traps. They moved through its empty hallways like shadows, lingering with uncertainty. Each glance at their father's empty office, the place where he spent most of his waking hours, filled them with a sense of betrayal mixed with longing. Mia found herself caught in a cacophony of conflicting thoughts. Could they confront a man who seemed so enshrined in his empire of wealth and indifference? They had spent years seeking his approval, poring over textbooks and awards. Yet here they were, faced with a question of loyalty that could shatter the pedestal on which their father stood in their eyes. The prospect of betraying the titan of their lives loomed large. Determined to uncover the layers of family history, Mia and Max crafted their approach. The following evening, they congregated in their room, nerves frayed and excitement tinged with fear. What entailed such a confrontation? Yet with every tentative step they took in planning, Mia felt something awaken within her, a resilience she didn't know existed. Perhaps, just perhaps, the secrets buried deep in their family could be a path to reconciliation. As dusk settled, they prepared for the impending evening. The twins stationed themselves in front of their father's door, hearts thundering like war drums. A simple knock could unravel everything that held them captive in silence. "Ready?" Mia asked, her voice steady despite the tumult within. Max nodded, swallowing hard. Mia raised her hand, trembling slightly, as she prepared to break the silence that had cloaked their lives for too long. But just before her knuckles met the polished wood, a debate erupted in her mind. What if he didn't respond well? What if the truth only deepened the rift that already existed? With one swift movement, she knocked gently, an action that held the weight of their family history. They exchanged a glance, the moment heavy with the unknown. It was now or never. No matter the outcome, this was their moment to reclaim their story. As the door creaked open, and their father's surprised face appeared, Mia braced herself for the storm of questions and the potential upheaval that would soon follow. The moment they had built toward was here. Would they be prepared for his response? For the blurred lines of familial ties and truths, the air crackled with tension as their destinies intertwined, hanging on the precipice of revelation. The door swung open wider, revealing their father, his brow furrowed in confusion. His piercing gray eyes surveyed them, searching for an explanation. Mia felt a lump form in her throat. This moment wasn't merely an encounter, it was a confrontation of her entire belief system about familial loyalty. "Dad," she began, her voice surprisingly steady despite the tempest inside her, "we need to talk." "About what?" he asked, crossing his arms defensively, a habit he had perfected over the years to intimidate rather than invite conversation. Mia exchanged a quick glance with Max. It was hard to gauge whether her brother shared the same apprehension or determination. She took a deep breath, noticing how the scent of expensive wood polish filled the air, a stark contrast to the emotion buzzing like electricity around them. "There's something we found out from Rosa," Mia pressed on, searching her father's expression for hints of recognition or even fear. "About our family. About our past." The shift in their father's demeanor was palpable. Something behind his eyes flickered, a combination of irritation mixed with alarm. "I don't want to hear any more of this nonsense," he snapped, waving his hand dismissively. His voice was a controlled storm, but Mia could sense the fear lurking within. "Dad, please," Max interjected, breaking his usual secondary role. "We're not trying to upset you. But if there are things you haven't told us, we deserve to know. We want to understand. You've kept us at arm's length all our lives." For the first time in what felt like ages, Mia saw a crack in her father's impenetrable facade. Beneath the heavy layers of wealth and authority, she glimpsed a vulnerability that both frightened and emboldened her. Your lives are comfortable because of the truths I've chosen to protect you from, he replied, his voice low and edged with defensiveness. Some truths are too painful. Maybe it's the pain we need. The truth might finally bring us closer, Mia argued, watching her father's expression closely. Did he even acknowledge his children's pleas, or were they simply echoes in his cavernous emotional void? The room hung in silence, a suspended moment that seemed endless. Every second stretched taut like a drawn bowstring. Mia understood that their father's response could either dismantle the last fragments of their family or initiate something profoundly transformative. Why didn't you tell us about your grandmother's life? About the choices she made? Max pressed, the urgency in his voice palpable. Each question felt as though it were chipping away at their father's wall. I made unwarranted sacrifices for your comfort. He barked, but Mia noted the reluctance shaping his voice. Which we never asked for. Mia countered, her heart pounding as she realized they had struck a nerve. We don't want a comfortable life if it means our hearts remain locked away. Their father's expression softened momentarily, a flicker of consideration. But Mia noticed something else, a shadow of resentment weaving through the fabric of their conversation. Perhaps this wasn't just a family secret, perhaps it was the volatility of identity itself. Whatever pain you're carrying, maybe it's time to let it go, Mia urged, feeling a surge of authority. This wasn't just an act of rebellion, it was an awakening. What you ask is not that simple. His words dripped with bitterness. You don't understand the burden of legacy. Then help us understand. Let us be a part of that legacy instead of just suffering in silence, Max pleaded. Their father's expression darkened once more, but this time, it wasn't just anger painted on his face, it was a mix of resolve and turmoil. Very well, he relented, his voice dropping. You want the truth? You may not like what you find. Mia's heart thundered as she sensed a shift in their dynamic, a pivot towards something terrifying yet invigorating. She grasped Max's hand, feeling the tremor that echoed her own inner uncertainty. They stood on the brink of an uncharted territory, armed with the resolute knowledge that the family they thought they knew might be entirely different from the family they were to discover. As their father motioned for them to enter his office, Mia felt both trepidation and exhilaration. What new revelations awaited them within those polished wood walls, hidden behind layers of protective silence? It was a new beginning that also felt like the end of one era. Whatever lay ahead was bound to challenge them, forcing them to confront the identities they had spent their lives constructing. With every step into the office, Mia wondered if they were ready for the truths lurking in the shadows. But as the door clicked shut behind them, sealing off the outside world, one thought emerged clear and piercing. Were they prepared to unravel the profound legacies of pain and resilience that defined their family history, or would it shatter them in the process? As the door closed, the click reverberated in the oppressive silence of the office, a small sound with monumental weight. Mia felt the rush of adrenaline coursing through her veins. The air seemed thicker within these polished walls, saturated with unspoken histories and unacknowledged truths. Her father moved to the ornate desk at the far end of the room, his back turned to them, seemingly gathering his thoughts. Mia watched him, the man who had always dictated the parameters of their lives, torn between authority and resignation. Sit down, he finally ordered, his voice a low rumble. She hesitated, grappling with the anticipation bubbling within her. Every instinct urged her to confront him, to demand the answers long overdue. Max, however, broke the tension by sliding into a chair across from their father. We're ready to hear it, Dad, he said, the steadiness of his tone surprising even Mia. It was a pivot. Max, the usually reticent sibling, stepping forward into a role of assertiveness. With a slow exhale, their father finally placed his hands flat on the surface of the desk. Very well. You both deserve to know what I kept from you. But I warn you, it's not a fairy tale. He took a deep breath, as if preparing for something monumental, and Mia sensed that this was just the beginning of a revelation that had the potential to reshape their familial ties. Our family has been built upon sacrifices, choices made in the shadows. His eyes flickered with an intensity that might have been sadness or regret. Your grandmother was complicated. Powerful in her own right, but it came at a cost. She made decisions to keep us safe, and those decisions are not a legacy I wanted you to inherit. Mia leaned in, intrigued yet apprehensive. What do you mean by complicated? Her past is riddled with mistakes, he continued, revealing a layer of vulnerability that made Mia's heart race. She was involved in dealings that would shock you. Things that made our fortune possible, but left stains on our name. Were they illegal? Max's question sliced through the tension like a knife, and Mia watched their father pause, the silence pregnant with unanswered queries. Yes, he reluctantly admitted. But it was necessary for survival. I thought I could shield you from it. I thought you wouldn't have to bear the weight of our family's choices. Mia felt a surge of both anger and understanding. But in protecting us, you've kept us in the dark, she countered. What if knowing the truth gives us strength? Their father's expression faltered, a hint of uncertainty creeping into his demeanor. That vulnerability she briefly glimpsed earlier re-emerged, sparking a realization in Mia. This wasn't merely about her father's protective instincts, it was about his fear of how the legacy would reflect on his children, the fear of losing them to a past he could not change. Is this why you never shared our family history with us? Mia pressed, feeling the cracks in her father's defenses expanding. Because you didn't want us burdened by the truth? Silence ensued. His response was delayed, heavy with contemplation. Mia could sense an internal battle brewing within him, the struggle between his need for control and the dawning awareness that he could no longer shield them from the truth. What if understanding our family's past gives us the tools to redefine it? She asked, feeling emboldened. Maybe the pain is worth it if we can create something different. Her father hesitated, a flicker of acknowledgement shining through the confusion clouding his expression. You both are asking for a lot, he finally said, his voice softer but still edged with uncertainty. Confronting it may unveil aspects of yourselves you did not expect. Mia leaned forward, feeling a new sense of clarity rising within her. Maybe that's what I need to do, confront who I am. Who we are. If it shatters the illusion of who we thought we were, then let it. The atmosphere thickened as her father regarded her, the weight of generations pressing down on all of them. Secrets and untold truths felt like ghosts swirling in the room, demanding recognition. Prepare yourselves, he warned, his voice tightening. This isn't just about family secrets, it's about facing the very essence of what it means to be a part of this legacy. Mia's pulse quickened. She sensed that this excavation of truth would lead her to confront hidden pieces of herself and demands she had never considered. Tell us everything, Max urged, setting the tone for this next phase of their journey, and in that moment, as words began to spill forth, Mia braced herself, heart racing with the uncertainty of what lay ahead. She was poised on the edge of revelations that would not only redefine her understanding of her family but force her to confront the shadows within herself, shadows she had long kept at bay. What legacy awaited them in the depths of their family history, and would it empower them to reshape their narrative, or would it consume them entirely? Mia felt the weight of her father's words settle heavily on her shoulders, but as he began to reveal the hidden corners of their family history, a mix of anticipation and dread filled her. Each syllable he uttered clawed at the carefully constructed identity she had built, exposing its fragility. The air in the room crackled with an electric tension, and she could feel Max's resolve beside her, steady yet unyielding. Your grandmother was a savvy businesswoman, her father began, his gaze turning distant as if he were remembering a time long past. She ran operations that others would consider unethical at best. There were people who didn't just owe us favors, they feared us. The realization pulsed in Mia's mind, fear had woven itself into the fabric of their family's fortune. What did she do? Max pushed, his voice demanding more clarity. With a wave of his hand, her father dismissed the question momentarily, his need to gather himself palpable. She made choices that involved trade-offs. Deals with people and groups that existed in the fringes of society. They kept our family safe financially, but at a significant moral cost. Mia's thoughts began to spiral. This wasn't just family history, it was a complex landscape of decisions that echoed into her present. If her grandmother had thrived in the shadows, what did that mean for Mia? Would she, too, be forever entwined in these threads of moral ambiguity? Are you saying she was involved in crime? Mia struggled to keep her voice steady, the weight of her heritage slipping into her awareness. Her father met her gaze directly now, the fierce glimmer of honesty in his eyes. Some might call it that. But I've always seen it differently. People in my position need to make difficult choices to protect those they love. In her case, the stakes were significantly higher. Her choices were often about survival. Mia's heart raced. The idea of legacy, which had always felt like something noble, had twisted into something dark and complicated. Then what about us? What is our legacy? She found herself asking, the determination building within her. Will we inherit this web of shadows? Or can we break free and redefine what being part of this family means? Her father's brow furrowed, and with a visible weight, he began to acknowledge the challenge she posed. That's what I feared when I chose silence. I wanted you both to have the freedom to choose who you wanted to be without the burden of our history shackling your dreams. But you've done the exact opposite, Dad, Max interjected. In hiding these truths, you've left us unprepared for the world outside these walls. Knowledge empowers, it doesn't enslave. Mia felt a swell of gratitude towards her brother, who was bravely challenging their father's perspective. Together, they were gradually dismantling the barriers built around their family's past. Yet, the question of what lay ahead gnawed at her resolve. Your journey, their father began, his voice quavering slightly, will require courage. The world outside this family is harsh. Confront it with open eyes, and you may find strength in our past, but you must also decide what parts of it to leave behind. Mia felt the seed of something stirring inside her, an itch to uncover more, to embrace this journey which could either unite or tear their family apart. So, you're saying we have a choice in how our family story unfolds? She pressed. He nodded slowly, a flicker of pride mingling with concern. Yes. But understand, facing the truth may reveal sides of our family that are not so palatable. It might bring more pain before any healing can begin. Mia could no longer deny the growing fire within her, a need to explore the depths of their legacy, confront the very essence of who she was, and perhaps unearth hidden facets of herself she had never known. Dad, we're ready, she declared, feeling the weight of her words echo in the silence. Whatever it takes, we will confront this together. We won't shy away anymore. The air thickened once more with unspoken promises as her father shifted in his seat, contemplating the weight of their declaration. Suddenly, the creak of the door interrupted the fragile moment, and a figure peeked into the room, unaware of the critical turning point unfolding just behind it. Mia's heart raced. Who could this intruder be, and what further revelations awaited them? Would they be prepared for the truths that might come spilling forth from somewhere unexpected? Mia turned her head toward the door just as a familiar face emerged from the shadows. It was Sarah, the family's longtime housekeeper. Her presence had always been that of quiet strength, yet now, the anxious lines furrowing her brow hinted at something beyond mere routine. Mia, Max, Sarah breathed, her voice low but edged with urgency, there's something you need to see. The weight of her words hung in the air, and Mia's heart quickened with a mixture of fear and curiosity. She exchanged a glance with Max, who nodded, silently signaling that they should follow. They stepped into the dimly lit hallway behind Sarah, the familiar scent of old wood and polished surfaces swirling around them like ghosts from the past. Mia's mind raced, questions battling for dominance. What was so urgent that it required clandestine communication? What did Sarah know about their family's hidden legacy? I didn't mean to interrupt, Sarah said as they walked, but I've been with your family through many years, and there are things I've kept locked away. Things that can help you understand what you've inherited. Mia felt a chill run down her spine, a mixture of anticipation and dread. This was precisely what she had sought. As valuable as her father's revelations had been, there remained a deep-seated need for clarity, for tangible links to the truth buried beneath family lore. They arrived at a small, private study at the end of a corridor, its door slightly ajar. Sarah glanced behind her, ensuring no one else was watching, and gently pushed the door open. The room was dim, illuminated by the soft glow of a desk lamp. On the oak desk lay an old leather-bound notebook. "This belonged to your grandmother," Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I found it while cleaning out the attic. It contains her thoughts and dealings, the very essence of what made her, well, her." Mia stepped forward, her fingers trembling as she reached for the notebook, drawn in by a compelling mix of fear and excitement. Her heart thudded as she opened the cover. The pages cracked, stained with age and filled with her grandmother's elegant cursive. Max leaned closer, peering over her shoulder, both captivated and perplexed. "What does it say?" he asked, his voice holding a mixture of hope and uncertainty. Mia scanned the pages, skimming through accounts of financial dealings and odd notes, names of people, places, exchanges that sent her thoughts spiraling. Some entries documented ethical boundaries crossed, others hinted at the protection provided by the very shadows they now chased. Each revelation felt like a thread, weaving into the complex fabric of her identity. As she read, Mia's resolve crystallized further. This wasn't merely about uncovering their family's past, but rather about forging her own path. She felt the fire in her gut reigniting, the urgency to confront not just legacy, but the embodiment of courage in the face of whispered fears. "What are you thinking?" Max asked, his voice breaking through her focused trance. "I have to finish reading these," she replied, her voice assertive yet vulnerable. "There is so much more than what Dad mentioned. We need to understand not just our family history, but what this means for us moving forward." "And how do we do that?" he asked, his brows knitting in concern. "We confront each entry," she declared, feeling the weight of her grandmother's choices settle against her own aspirations. "We don't just inherit this legacy, we take control of it. If we want to escape the shadows, we must be willing to understand their depths." As she turned the page, an inkling of doubt whispered in her mind. Could they truly wield the power of knowledge without becoming ensnared in the same darkness that once ensnared her grandmother? Just as Mia was about to delve deeper into the profound implications, another noise echoed from the hallway, a voice raised in anger, demanding attention. The movement pulled them back into the present, shattering their moment of introspection. "What now?" Mia murmured, the sense of foreboding rising anew. Would their family history choose this moment to rear its head, demanding confrontation? The air crackled again with tension, pulling them away from the pages of the past just as they were about to grasp their future. What confrontation awaited them beyond the fragile barrier of that door? Mia stood poised between the legacy that entwined them and the uncertain destiny they were about to carve out for themselves. Mia's heart raced as she exchanged a worried glance with Max. The muffled voices in the hallway grew louder, an unsettling chorus of anger echoing through the wood-paneled walls. It was evident that whatever confrontation was brewing outside their sanctuary was not merely a fleeting disturbance, it held the weight of unresolved tensions that had hounded their family for too long. Instinctively, Mia closed the notebook, cradling it like a sacred artifact, though she felt the flutter of questions still alive in her chest. The room's dim light seemed to dim further, driven by the tension encroaching from outside. This was more than a mere distraction, it threatened her resolve. Max shifted, clearly torn between wanting to protect Mia and needing to understand the situation at hand. "We can't stay locked in here," he finally spoke, his voice steadying. "We need to confront whatever's happening out there." Mia bit her lip, wrestling with the conflicting impulses of fear and determination. Taking a deep breath, she nodded. "You're right. We can't avoid this. Not anymore." As they emerged from the study, the atmosphere shifted, charged with an ominous undertone. The hallway lay before them like a battlefield, each step echoing the uncertainty churning within her. When they reached the source of the commotion, they were greeted by a sight that sharpened her resolve. Two family members stood off against one another, faces red with indignation, words spilling forth like venom. "Enough!" Mia's voice rang out, startling both sides into silence. She surprised herself with the force behind her words. This familial strife was no longer something she could evade, it was time to assert herself. As their eyes darted toward her, confusion simmered in their expressions. "What's going on?" Mia demanded, forcing authority into her tone. "We're a family, we can't let disagreements tear us apart." Silence blanketed the hallway, allowing the tension to thicken around them. Max stepped forward, aligning himself with her stance, ready to stand shoulder to shoulder with his sister. He had always been her anchor, and today was no different. It matters, Mia continued, feeling the weight of her newfound authority stirring within her. As much as we might want to ignore our differences, they don't go away. We need to address them openly. We owe it to ourselves and to our grandmother, who faced her own demons. The corners of their relatives' resolve began to waver, but the malevolent cloud that had settled over the family remained. A moment of contemplation hung thick, and Mia sensed an opportunity simmering beneath the surface. She had a choice: either let the moment slip away or wrest it into something transformative. We have questions. I have questions, and I'm ready to seek answers. Together, she proposed, daring to dream of transparency replacing secrets and hostility. But only if we do this as a unit, as a family. She could feel something shifting in her. The shadows that had once echoed insecurities were bending toward a fierce light. This was her chance to take charge of her legacy, to demand the respect and unity she craved. One of the relatives hesitated before stepping forward, their gaze shifting to Mia's resolute face. You're right, Mia. We've hidden from things too long. But right before anyone could respond, Mia's phone buzzed in her pocket, a reminder of the world outside and of the responsibilities she still had to face. The contrast jolted her moment of empowerment. Would she be able to forge ahead with this newfound understanding, or would the distractions of life pull her back into external chaos? As she pulled out her phone, the urgency of potential opportunities and challenges intertwining with her family's turmoil became palpable. With deep breaths, she gestured for everyone to gather closer, determination granting her strength. Let us talk, she urged, her tone an anchor amidst the storm. But there is more to it than just family histories. We need to understand ourselves, too. Just then, a new notification caught her eye, the name on the screen, igniting curiosity and dread in equal measure. A message from an unknown number read, "I know what you've discovered. Meet me tonight if you want the real story." Would this be the key to unraveling their familial legacy, or yet another complication threatening to drown her in uncertainty? Steeling herself, Mia wondered if she was ready to confront whatever lay ahead, knowing that this could either bind them as a family or unravel them entirely. Mia's thoughts spun like a whirlwind, the message glowing ominously on her screen. The weight of its implications felt almost unbearable. She struggled to focus on the faces before her, their expressions a tapestry of concern and curiosity. How could she lead this family meeting when something so potentially explosive drew her attention away? "Who is it?" Max asked, peering over her shoulder, his worry etched deeply across his brow. "I have no idea," Mia admitted, a knot tightening in her stomach. Time slowed as she wrestled with the uncertainty that threatened to pull her attention apart. This could either be a crucial lead or an unnecessary distraction. She couldn't afford to let her focus slip away now, not when the family needed her clarity. Clearing her throat, she called attention back to the pressing matters. We need to prioritize. We can't dive into the past without understanding our current situation. The family seemed to draw together, inching closer as if shielding one another from the resentments lurking in the air. Mia took a moment to absorb the weight of her responsibility. This wasn't just about addressing family rifts, it was also about recognizing her authority to lead. The more she steeled herself, the more she realized that it was her time to embrace this role. She decided to speak from a place of vulnerability, urging those around her to share their thoughts. We all have scars from our history, and they shape who we are, she began, her voice steady and firm. Let us talk about how our past has affected us. It's not just about fixing what's broken, it's about understanding the foundation we stand on. A ripple of movements went through the group. Cautiously, one relative, Mary, stepped forward. I think we've all felt trapped by the choices made before us, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I've always been angry that our family didn't stand together during tough times. This admission opened the floodgates. Mia watched in astonishment as others began to mirror Mary's candor. Secrets spilled into the air, each revelation building upon the last deep grievances held in silence, dreams dismissed, and emotional wounds from forgotten arguments. Yet with each confession, something else surfaced, their collective desire for unity encouraged by the progress. Mia steered the conversation. "What can we do to mend our ties?" she asked and listened intently as everyone began discussing their visions of healing. "We're all in this together, and we have the power to create a better future." The words resonated, igniting a flicker of hope in the room, but the heavier weight of that message loomed larger every moment. They couldn't truly move forward until they faced whatever storm was brewing outside their discussions. Glancing back at her phone, Mia felt the buzzing grow louder, stirring at the edges of her focus. She couldn't ignore it. Something about reaching out for answers resonated with her desire to claim control of her narrative. Part of her feared that pursuing this unknown would disrupt the fragile cohesion of this pivotal moment. "Okay," Max whispered, as if reading her mind. "Why don't you just check the message? Maybe it's important." Mia's heart raced as she weighed her options. Would she risk the delicate balance she had just built, or did she owe it to herself and them to seek the truth? In a moment of impulse, she decided to share her dilemma. "There's this message I just received from an unknown number. It hints that it knows about something I uncovered." Faces fell into silence once more, the conversation held captive at the precipice of potential revelation. "What if it leads us to something that can finally bring clarity or understanding?" Max urged, his expression a mix of support and worry. Together, they weighed the power of what lay ahead. Mia took a deep breath, feeling a swell of determination rising within her. "If we're going to do this, we need to face it together." As they gathered tighter, a collective sense of purpose gripped them all. Mia felt empowered by this decision, realizing she wasn't just confronting family tension, she was stepping into the unknown with her family by her side, ready to shape their legacy anew. But as she prepared to respond, the additional worry of what she might learn darkened her resolve. The shadows of questions loomed larger than ever, whispering uncertainties and doubt. With each passing moment, the choice lay before her whether to uncover that truth, or to shield her family from another betrayal. Would their answers bind them or further tear them apart? Sensing the gravity of the impending situation, Mia whispered under her breath, "It's time to find out." Mia's fingers hovered above the screen, caught between her curiosity and the anxiety that made her heart race. She could sense the anxious energy of her family surrounding her, their anticipation driven by fear of the unknown. What kind of secret could have emerged to disrupt the fragile peace they were just beginning to weave together? "Let us see what this is all about," she breathed, steeling her resolve. As she pressed the screen, her heart pounded with a rhythm that echoed the tension in the room. The message flickered before her, shadows of uncertainty dancing in her mind. "Your suggestions about the estate haven't gone unnoticed. There are things you should know before proceeding." It was cryptic, yet the implications clawed at her thoughts. The estate symbols of heritage, conflict, and unresolved emotions filled the space between each word. This wasn't just about her family's past, it was about their future, their legacy. A part of her wanted to dismiss it, to focus on healing the emotional rifts that had just begun to open, but another part, a stronger part, knew she couldn't ignore it. Ignoring it would be a betrayal of everything they had just discussed, of the vulnerability they had begun to share. "Mia?" Max's voice broke the hushed silence, pulling her back. She met his eyes, which were filled with concern and urgency. "Are you okay? What does it say?" She hesitated, weighing his support against the delicate thread of connection they were all weaving. Her voice emerged quietly, almost as if speaking a secret. "It talks about the estate, about things we have yet to unearth." The room felt smaller, the air thickening with collective tension. Each face turned towards Mia, a mixture of hope and fear swirling amongst them. At that moment, she felt a surge of responsibility. This revelation, while daunting, could also be the catalyst for their healing. "Maybe we should discover what it means together," she proposed, feeling the heat of determination spreading through her veins. "If this message contains truths about our past that could affect our future, we need to confront it head-on." Her confidence resonated in the room. As her family nodded, Mia felt the weight of her leadership shift. The once shaky ground beneath her feet began to stabilize, not through bravado but through unity. They were all committed to unraveling the layers of their intertwined existences. Max leaned in closer, supporting her in this pivotal moment. We need to tread carefully. Can't we gather information first? His caution mirrored Mia's own internal struggle. The need for clarity warred against the fear of what secrets could be unveiled. She closed her eyes for a moment, searching for the right balance. Could she expose her family to possibilities that might tear them apart again? No. She refused to entertain that fate. She had to think strategically. Let South research the estate first. We might find information that can either confirm or negate this message, Mia decided firmly, a plan forming in her mind. As they started discussing practical steps, Mia was surprised at how this challenge seemed to energize her family. There was fear, but there was also resolve. They approached the crisis with a sense of togetherness that she hadn't anticipated. Still, as they strategized, the shadows of what could await them loomed ominously. Each tick of the clock served as a reminder that whatever lay ahead could unearth not only treasures but also buried emotions, potentially explosive truths that might shake their newly forged bonds. Mia knew the path they were taking led into uncharted territory. The idea of digging deeper sent a shiver down her spine, but beneath that fear also dwelled an eagerness to confront the issues she had once avoided. Each revelation might inch them closer to understanding not just of their family's history, but of themselves. As they plotted their next steps, the feeling of empowerment washed over her one more time. Holding her head high, she sensed a transformation occurring within. She wasn't just a leader. She was a catalyst for change. Yet, as much as she readied herself for the journey ahead, the fear of the unknown gnawed at the edges of her conviction. Would they find peace, or would they face a storm of revelations that could shatter their tenuous support structure? With each profound possibility swirling in her mind, Mia thought, what if the truth is more dangerous than we anticipate? In this moment, she was acutely aware that their next move could change everything. The urgency of discovery pressed against her thoughts, propelling her forward even as uncertainty loomed. Whatever happened next would reveal not just the secrets of the estate, but the very core of who they all were. And as she prepared to navigate the depths of their past, she knew the next revelation could be just around the corner. The stage was set for conflicted truths, and Mia felt the thrilling weight of responsibility settle upon her. How far would they go to unearth the legacy hidden within their lineage? And more importantly, what would they find waiting for them on the other side of the storm? Days passed uneventfully following the tumultuous confrontation with their father. Yet for Mia and Max, each moment felt charged with anticipation, as though the air around them crackled with the energy of unresolved mysteries. They spent their evenings tucked away in their shared sanctuary, now a haven of inquiry, examining every detail of the old notebook Sarah had recovered. The stories it contained became an intricate map guiding them toward deeper understanding. Every page revealed both shame and pride wrapped within the family's legacy. The blessings of wealth were overshadowed by ethical quandaries, and the decisions made by their grandmother felt both captivating and terrifying. Mia's understanding of familial ties transformed. She was beginning to view their past not only as a burden but as an elaborate tapestry stitched together by both triumph and tragedy that she could learn to navigate. Determined to reclaim their narrative, Mia suggested they compile the contents of the notebook into a presentation for their father, to facilitate dialogue rather than confrontation. She needed him to see that they were no longer merely extensions of his expectations. They were autonomous beings, ready to confront legacies while seeking their own truths. The day finally arrived when they would once again gather as a family. Her father made his way toward the living room, appearing more fatigued than usual. The gray under his eyes spoke volumes, and for the first time, Mia noticed that beneath his authoritative veneer, he was a man weathered by choices that haunted him. "Thanks for coming," Mia began, casting a glance at Max, who nodded encouragingly. She wanted to present a united front, an alliance formed in the forging fires of truth. "We've been doing a lot of thinking. Our understanding of the family history has evolved, and what more could there possibly be?" Her father interjected, a hint of his typical defensiveness creeping into his tone, yet softened by hesitation. Mia pressed on, undeterred. "All we've learned suggests that uncovering our past is essential. We believe it can inform our choices going forward. We want to understand the sacrifices that shaped our current realities, not just to avoid repeating history but to redefine our legacy. To Mia's surprise, her father seemed taken aback. It was rare for him to have his authority challenged, and yet here they were, ready to face his long-shackled fears. The conversation swelled with intensity as Max offered insights from the notebook that shed light on their grandmother's decisions, encouraging reflections that were increasingly self-aware. Her father's walls, built through years of insisting that silence protected them, began to crumble under the weight of exposure. "I wanted to protect you, but perhaps I stifled your growth in the process," he confessed, eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I erased the past, thinking it would buffer your futures. But maybe I was wrong." Mia felt a strong swell of satisfaction course through her, the realization that their decision to confront family matters was starting to dismantle long-held perceptions. It became evident to them all that the truth was not simply about revealing dark secrets but about creating opportunities for healing and reconciliation. "Can we start anew?" her father asked, vulnerability underlining the question. "Can we redefine what it means to carry this name, to create a different future without those chains?" "Yes," Mia replied firmly, "but it will take all of us. We must commit to transparency, to honor the good and recognize the bad." The dialogue began to shift, feelings rose, and amidst fears, dreams of a unified family emerged. Their father started sharing his own insecurities about the legacy, acknowledging that vulnerability does not equate to weakness. The burden of past choices transformed into a collective responsibility to shape their reality moving forward, igniting something profound. Several weeks later, standing shoulder to shoulder with Max, Mia felt a solid confidence underpinning her every word as they delivered a speech at a local community center about the importance of transparency and family narratives. They would use their story to inspire others grappling with the ghosts of generational history. As they concluded their address, the applause enveloped them, a tangible recognition of the progress they made not only as siblings but as a family beginning to heal and reclaim their identity. Mia stood taller now, the transformation evident in her demeanor. The void left by the secrets had been filled with purpose, resilience, and a commitment to authenticity that she had never known. The distance between past shadows and present light had shifted, and for the first time, Mia felt proud not just of her family's wealth but of the values they were choosing to embody. As they stepped off the stage, she gripped Max's arm, replaying the journey that led them here. They had accomplished something remarkable, not just personal growth but a reconnection that bloomed from the ashes of neglect and misunderstanding. Finally, she understood that real legacies were created, not inherited. And what began as painful truths transformed into a promise, one that would guide them as they etched new chapters together, unfettered by ghosts. Now was the moment to embrace not only their history but to forge a new narrative that was undeniably theirs. If you found this story touching, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support by leaving a like. Tell us in the comments what you think about Mia's journey and your theories on how it might continue. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion and embrace their narratives.